Jesus walks on the water. Hi everybody, nice to have you back. The message for today is from Matthew chapter 14, verses 22 to verse 36. I'm going to read all of it and then go into it, dive into it. So it's about Jesus walks on the water. All right, I'm going to read verse 22. I'm in chapter 14. Matthew 14, verses 22 to 36. Immediately Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on the mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night he was there alone, and the boat was already considerable distance from the land. Buffeted by the waves, because the wind was against it. We're in verse 25. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they say, and cry out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I, don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came towards Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid and beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me." Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." When they had crossed over, they landed to Gennesaret, and when the men of the place recognized Jesus, they sent word to all the surrounding country. People brought all their sick to him and begged him to let the sick just touch the edge of his cloak, and all who touched it were healed. Amen to that. All right, so back to the scriptures. So it gives us a little bit of introduction here and we had this, Jesus is teaching the crowd, and sometimes he sits in the boat, and sometimes he sits on the land, he goes on the land, and he was just doing that, and then he dismissed the crowd, and he says like, now you can go home, the teaching is, done for the day. So after that, he needs, as much as he gives to people, he needs to refill himself. How he fills himself up, he goes to pray. And where? On the mountainside by himself. He needs to get that touch with his Father in heaven. He needs that heavenly touch to come from heaven onto him, to get filled up again. Because the teaching and whatever he does, healing the sick, and as we know, when we give, we have to be refilled back. And so he went, is a quiet place, is on the mountainside, where is in the late night, I would say, this is late evening, later that night. So it's night, it's quiet. We need a quiet place with God as well. This is like we can take from this teaching. Jesus went, so should we. We have like a secret place, a quiet place that we have with God. We can go over the night. We can go during the day as well. But he went to the night because people are sleeping. Then he can be alone with his Father. And then God downloads him what is going to be, what is going to happen, and all this. So praying, he was praying for the sick, he was praying for his disciples, he was praying for everybody else. So he needed that time. Prayer time is you connect with God. Later that night, let's go back in the passage there, verse 23. Later that night, he was there alone, and the boat was already considerable distance from the land. There was buffered by the waves because the wind was against it. We remember that dream that was the wind that was in the other teaching we have with the boat, and the wind was so strong. We have it again. The wind is like always try to be disobedient to Jesus, to his disciples, and as we know, it's an evil wind. They try to distract, to bring fear. And in verse 25, shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake. Yes, you read that well. He was walking on the lake. He is Jesus. He came from heaven. There's no boundary that will hold him anywhere. He flies, he walks on the water, he tells the winds to stop. The nature needs to listen him, animals needs to listen him, everybody. The lake is like a carpet, he goes on it. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. They thought was a demon entity, a ghost. You're crying out in fear. They will say, "It's a ghost," and they say, and cried out in fear. How many times that you are in the night by yourself and you cry out in fear? You are scared. It might be you hear something in the dark when the lights are off. You see something, maybe see shades or anything. How many times you cry out? Now here, they were terrified and cry out in fear. They didn't call out to Jesus. They were feared with a fear, and they were crying out when they saw from the distance somebody walking on the water. What can walk on the water? Not a person, that's for sure. Is a ghost, or maybe is a soul. So they thought over the night, what after midnight comes out. And that's why it says not to stay over. If you stay after midnight, stay in prayer, but not in other things. So they thought it was a ghost, like a soul, like a spirit, a bad spirit. It's what I thought it was. But let's go back there. 27. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I. Don't be afraid." Now, I like that part. Don't be afraid. It's me. Why are you afraid? What are you terrified of? It's me. It says take courage. Be courageous. When he said that, take courage, guess who had courage? Peter. Peter, the way God loved Peter, he was courageous. He didn't care what whoever say what from the crowd of the disciples, from the 12. He was the only one who stood up in courage. When he heard was God, what was Jesus, he said, "Lord, if it's you," so if he still doesn't know if it's him or not, if it's you, Peter replied, "Tell me to come to you on the water." Here it's very clear now. Put the camera much closer. To come to you on the water. He knew if Jesus can walk on the water, is a person, because he is in the flesh, then he can walk in the water. And he had that courage. And Jesus always liked that in him, the courageous thing. And Jesus said, "Come," he said. Now, Look at Peter. So he gets off from the boat. Then Peter get down off the boat, walk on the water. He walked on the water like Jesus did and came toward where am I? Toward Jesus. Now we are in verse 30. So he walks on the water. He comes towards Jesus. Now he's still far out. Jesus is coming closer and closer, but so he comes, he walks on the water. He gets off the boat, walks on the water like Jesus did. Listen, verse 30. But, so it's about there. When he saw the wind, he was afraid and beginning to sink, cried out, Lord, save me. He saw the wind. Wind is an evil, is more in here like an evil entity. Wind, it is an evil. It can be good wind, but this one is not. And especially when they go on the lake, on the sea, that wind comes in the bad way. He saw the wind, and when he saw the wind, he was afraid. So he acknowledged that the wind is like a spiritual entity. Behind that is the wind that blows, and he thought is going to flip him over in the water, try to drown him down in the water. The wind is moving him from where he is. He probably could be on the steady ground. The wind, the way the wind blew, we could knock him down from his feet. But now think about he's on the water. So the enemy comes when you are in the right place with Jesus, all the way high, miracle signs and wonders. Everything is in your hand. He's walking on the water like nobody else did except him, Jesus and him in the whole Bible. And he is afraid of the wind because this strong wind comes and disturbs him, and he's beginning to sink. So he's sinking down in the water, but he has the courage. That's another thing that Jesus likes, the courage. He cries out, Lord, save me. Exactly how it is with us. Some people, they don't cry out to God, They don't cry out to Jesus, come and save me, when they are sinking down in their own maybe old habits, you name it, whenever other problems they have, they get the courage to get out of it, but when they sink down, most of people, they don't have the courage to cry out to God to get them out. Some they're still down, sinking down, getting much lower and lower in any addictions or any other problems they face. But Peter, we should be like Peter. Lord, save me. Save me from addiction. Save me from bad marriage. Save me from any situation you are in. Just cry out to God right now. If there's anything that you're facing right now and you don't know what to do and how to get out of it, all these bad winds or these bad entities, all these bad spirits are surrounding you, call out, Jesus, save me. As Peter said, Jesus is there. It says, Lord, save me. Lord means Master, save me. Lord is more like he is the master, you are the servant. So he acknowledged he's just a servant trying to follow Jesus. And he says, Lord, save me. Verse 31, immediately Jesus reached out to his hand and caught him. Jesus will never let you drown in the first place. If you keep his eyes on Jesus, neither like Peter will never drown down in the water. If you keep the eyes to him, on Jesus, he'll be able to walk towards him, to him, or much further out. But the eyes were on the wind instead. As we are, like sometimes we are, the eyes are our problems, our circumstances, instead of keeping the eyes only on Jesus. But even though when he cried out, Jesus caught his hand, got him out, and what he said? You of little faith, he said, why did you doubt? He has a little doubt that Jesus can, like he can walk by himself, or doubts that Jesus can save him. But Jesus saved him. There shouldn't be no doubt over there. Should not be any doubt. And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Why? Because there was an evil wind. It was for the purpose to get Peter off track, to put a fear in him that he would not walk on the water at all and would sink down and be gone. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, truly you are the Son of God. Why? People, they trust God when they see miracles, signs, and wonders. People otherwise will not go and seek God's face, seek who Jesus is, follow Jesus in any way, unless they see miracles, signs, and wonders. So they saw one, which is like, who on the earth walk on the water? Jesus did. Now they see even like Peter could, and as if he would walk much further, but sometimes it's about his faith as well. His faith was a little bit shaken that time. When they crossed over, they landed at Gennesaret, and when the men of that place recognized Jesus, they sent word of all surrounding country. People brought all their sick to him and begged him to let the sick just touch the edge of his cloak, and all who touched it were healed. They touched the edge of his cloak, like it's the clothing that he had. But more we talk about, he was Jewish, right? He was wearing a talit. Jewish would not go out anywhere without talit. And those strings of the talit hanging down, they call in the Bible it says that when Jesus comes, he comes with the healing in his wings. And the healing, they refer to the talit, to those strings are coming down, and people Jewish knew they will touch those strings and got healed. But now it says the cloak, like even touching the talit itself, his clothing, like he has like all these surroundings, so much of the glory. He was going in the glory of God. He has so much that people would touch him, would get healed. And so they knew it. So they put their sickle around, and the sickle on the streets, they would touch him, they got healed. Jesus didn't have to touch any, like so many, they would touch Jesus. But as says again, has to do with also praying and nourishing himself from the source, from the fountain, from heaven. He has to be filled up in order that he could get himself the strength. You think, oh yeah, now he stays over the night, you're getting much weaker and all that. It's not like that. Actually, you need to get, if you are strong in your spirit, you'll be strong in your flesh as well. So what we take from this story, faith, to have faith. Now, not all of us, we have enough faith, or we have faith, but what will save us? Just say we are in the worst, situation right now. If you are, or who can give you a hand to get you out? That's my question to you for today's message. Is Jesus. You may think you walk on the water, there's nobody can touch you, but guess what? Those evil spirits, they're waiting for the moment. And if they get you down, they get you down. But when you're down, say, as Peter say, Jesus, save me. And Sometimes I say 3 times, Jesus, 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 help me. And guess what? He will send his angels. He will send his angels to surround you, to help you in need. It gives you comfort, will guide you what to do, put in your thoughts what you do next step. He won't let you down, I promise, my friend. He won't. He didn't let me down in my problems. He won't let you down either. So I hope you got this message, and we conclude everything for the day. And till I see you next time, you have a nice day and good time. Bye now.